My video for July 27th, 2018, which is video number 2799, is entitled Total Lunar Eclipse on July 27th, 28. This lunar eclipse is the second one in 2018. Actually, it's the second one in July 2018. When that occurs, it is called a blue or blood moon. Some have suggested it is a sign of the end of the world. Frankly, if the world was going to continue to be ruled by psychopathic demons posing as humans, I would want it to be the end. Of course, I do not think that the world is going to end at this time. I do think there are changes happening, mostly behind the scenes, that will shift human experience. While not necessarily ascending into some higher dimension, it may be that something significant may be in play. Will some humans experience real change? Will our mortality be transformed into a higher vibration that allows us to access parts of our soul, as well as gifts, talents, and abilities that have been long suppressed? Because I was totally wrong about 2011, 2012, I'm not going out on a limb and saying any prediction is true. What I do think, however, is that unless there is a significant change of some sort, human civilization on Earth will either be wiped out or significantly changed or altered, throwing us back into another stone age of some sort. Will Creator finally take positive action? We may soon see. This whole subject of blue moons, blood moons, is a crazy thing. I mean, twice this year, January and July, there are two full moons. And not always eclipses, though. This is a full moon eclipse, which is very, very rare. In fact, it hasn't happened it's the only one that's going to happen in the 21st century. The 21st century is right. I did look up some things that might be relevant or not. In the book of Joel, and that's of course the Bible, it says, quote, "The sun will turn into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes." And a similar passage in the book of Revelation reads, quote, "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood." You know, those are interesting quotes. Do they have any relevance? Now, the whole thing is supposed to take an hour and 43 minutes. That will be visible, of course, from various places on Earth. It's going to be on Friday, July the 27th at 9:22 p.m. in Belfast, Ireland. And that just happens to be the web page that I was referring to about the blue moon or the blood moon. So it's an Irish thing, and I have a very good Irish friend, and that's another whole story. In any case, I want, as I keep on saying, there to be significant change. Somebody, did I say that in my last video? I can't remember if I did or not, but if I did, I'm saying it again. Somebody said, "Why don't you support Trump? He's our president." Well, I don't support the entire system. It doesn't matter who is the president. I did support Ron Paul. He was the last person running for high office, running for the office of president, that I gave some support to. Of course, he didn't actually get to the election. Other people were chosen ahead of him by the cabal. And remember, folks, the world has been run by dark forces. This has been going on all of our lives. Not any of us or our parents or our grandparents or great-great-grandparents, or how many generations do you want to go back? None of them lived on a planet that was run by benevolent beings. None of them. It's all been malevolence from the very beginning. And this is something that, for whatever reason, either there is no creator or the creator has allowed something that is crazy, insane, from my point of view anyway. Ron, are you judging the God, some may ask? Well, I'm not trying to judge God. I would like God to be the loving God that I believed was real since I was a little boy. And I felt like I knew that God. I felt like I had a relationship with God. I felt like there was actual communication. There was, as I shared in another recent video and on previous videos, I'm sure, at one point, my room filled up with light in the middle of the night, and I felt like God was right in the room with me. Did I see a physical person? No, I saw light, and I felt a presence. That's all it was. I didn't see a form. I've never seen a form that looked like another human being or something, or even an animal or whatever, that I would have called God. But God speaks to us in many ways, as I've said in other videos also. I hug trees on a regular basis. In fact, I go for a walk in a park every day, and every time I go by a particular tree, I hug it. And I don't get embarrassed like I did at some earlier points when people would catch me hugging the tree. Now I invite them to give it a hug as well. But most of the time, people don't even see me hugging the tree because it's just not that crowded that you would get that much traffic seeing somebody hugging a tree. And the pathway is very winding, so it's only a short area that people would even see it at all, because they have to come around the bend, whatever. So, folks, I want there to be real change. And if God doesn't take responsibility for creation, then it needs to be not started over, but wiped out. What's the point of having life if you can't experience the love and the peace and the joy and the gifts of the Spirit? Why do we have to be subjected to demonic elements that have malevolent intent for their operation of running world governments? And this has been going on apparently for, as I said, for a very long time. It's not something new, but it's something that many of us are waking up to the realization about. I can't support the political system because the political system is corrupt. Just taking the United States into example, they're trying now to eliminate the Second Amendment, which is the right of the people to protect themselves. And who do we need to protect ourselves from? The government. You say, Ron, but there's criminals too. Yes, and most of the criminals are actually people that have been depressed and suppressed by the government and allowed to come into this country. There's a whole bunch of people in Europe and all over the world where we're taking people from Middle Eastern countries, especially Muslim countries, and we're importing them into other countries, upsetting the entire balance of civilization in the areas where these are coming in, and they're criminals. But even the military and the police are often trained to take away human rights. It's a right of a human being to protect themselves, to protect their family, to protect their home. That's a natural right. It's not something that is just arbitrary. It's something that all beings will, whether animal or human, all beings will protect their little ones and try to protect themselves. That's just nature operating as it's supposed to operate. It's not something unusual, but it is unusual that when you have government entities that are advocating the taking away of the ability to protect ourselves. So I know this sounds like a broken record to many of you, and I thank those of you that hang in there with me as I express again my frustration that there isn't positive action taken. Maybe it is happening. I hope that's true. But until I see the evidence, I still have to hold my breath and ask, please let there be peace on earth. Thank you for listening. Namaste.